This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming to you live from the grave of Ric Flair's dignity, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your hosts, Hassel, Monster, and this week we got Big Rob and Uncle Si. And for those of you that follow the show, Uncle Si is actually Mr. Mittens.
Yeah, he just shaved a little bit this week.
Yeah. Not the whiskers back.
But this is we do have all of our special guests and roaming reporters back in this week because this is our special award show. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and thank our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs from comics to Legos, trading cards, toys, games, and more. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And with that, we're going to go straight into our focus this week, which is our annual Excelsior and DS Awards. And we will explain what those are a little bit more as we get into them. But again, let's make sure we thank our extended Nerdy Man Room family members for joining us. We got Big Rob, who's back home from his roaming assignments. He's going to get to stay home for a week and report from the house. And then we've got Mr. Mittens, who somehow got a work release from the wildlife captivity farm he lives on.
And what I want to know is how you guys show up to a snazzy event like the Excelsiors. I'm the only person in a tux. What the fuck?
I look good in anything, so it doesn't matter what I got on. There's your answer.
Nicely, Hassel. That looks pretty amazing right there.
I know, right?
Hey, I could have put on an actual tux. I do have a couple, but I didn't want to go that far.
Of course, the ruler of Cobra does.
It would have only been for the waist up, though. I wouldn't have bothered with the pants. They don't see us behind the desk.
Yeah.
I think
I'm free flowing down here anyway, so
we didn't need to know that.
I think my only dressy stuff is some of those shirts. It's kind of almost metallic, so I figured the light would just blind everybody, especially if I took off the hat.
I don't even want to know, Mittens.
They're silky. They feel nice. Yeah.
Being disco.
What? I didn't catch it.
He said you were going disco dancing, or something to that effect.
Man, pull a full John Travolta.
Just don't wear the nut huggers.
Oh, it is happening.
Oh,
Monster, with that being said, explain to the kind of people what the Excelsiors and the DS Awards are.
All right, so our Excelsior Awards are the awards we give away for lack of a better term, best in class of the year, the things that we thought stood out the most in the year and that were really good. What we do in the Excelsior Awards, though, is we since we've been planning this throughout the month of December, to be eligible for nomination, it had to be something that occurred throughout this year, which could include December or could include last December, because as we prepare these shows, things tend to come out while we're working on it, and we might not have had a chance to review or check those out, so they may not be included this year. They may be next year. Some of last year's December items might scrape into here. For an example, I think Book of Boba Fett started in December of last year, but it was on the 29th of December, and we were still working on recording this at the time, so it didn't make it into last year's nominations, but it could this year. Something else like Galactus, which has come out in October of this year, might make a nomination this year. It's not eligible for next year because it's been out long enough since the end of October for us to have at least took a look at it and decide if it's able to be nominated. So, but anything in the month of December is up for this year or possibly into next year. Same with the DS Awards. The DS Awards, which as Hassel likes to call it, the Drizzling Shits Awards, which is where it got its name from. Those are the things that were worst in class of the year. And we'll go through the Excelsiors first, give away the best, and we'll end on the bad. But before we end, we'll also do we're going to take a look into next year. And Mr. Mittens unfortunately wasn't able to join us last night for the final prep for this. So I'm going to spring this on him a little early, but we got to pick one thing we're looking most forward to for next year and one thing we're looking least forward to. We're doing that instead of Nerd Out this week just because this is our year-end show. With that being said,
you have a little time to think on it.
Yeah, so we won't put him directly on the spot. But with that being said, we're going to do the format a little bit differently from last year. Instead of us swapping every category, I will read all the categories and nominees, and Big Rob and Hassel will take the chance to give out the winners. I'll shoot it over to one of them to announce the winner, and we'll give a brief description of why we chose that person or group or whatever it is to win that award. And Mr. Mittens and I will, of course, as always, chime in where we feel it fits to expand a little bit more on some of these answers. With that being said, I think we're ready to flow straight into it. In our first category, we're going to open up with some of our sports items, and we're going to kick off with wrestling. So our first category is promotion of the year, and we nominated WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling because does anything else really exist anymore besides those? But I'm going to shoot over to Big Rob to announce the winner of this one.
All right, so the winner that we picked out for promotion of the year would be the WWE. They've had some really great storylines, the Bloodline, and just everything they're doing with AEW is kind of the other end of it. You guys tell better than I can because I don't watch that much wrestling anymore.
Well, I mean, AEW had a lot of steam a year and a half ago, with Punk signing and just, some things we'll touch on later. It's derailed their momentum, so to speak. So they seem to be kind of spinning their wheels, chattering their wheels in place to where the WWE, I mean, they're gaining some ground again. They're getting back going. The Bloodline is just must-see TV at this point. So, I mean, it was hands down.
Yeah, I took a look at the numbers too when we first started talking about these categories, and WWE, short of a couple of episodes of Raw that have actually decreased or gone down, they have not. They've actually increased in viewership on every show except for when they moved to a different channel because of like I think they moved to FS1 for SmackDown 1 week.
Yeah, there was 2 weeks where they were actually. There was 1 week you couldn't even find them anywhere. Like I have FS1 and some of the affiliates, and they wasn't even on there.
Yeah, but the numbers have still been increasing. But when you look at AEW, their numbers have they plateaued off when Punk joined. They kind of stay where they were. But honestly, if you look at the last 2 months worth of episodes, they've actually been declining in viewership from the starting in the million range, and then for one segment, then by the end of the show, they're at the 700,000 range for viewership. So they're dropping drastically because they used to maintain the hairs.
You could almost say the SmackDown itself is the number one promotion. Because, I mean, it's Raw is like here. Like, I don't even finish Raw a lot of times. If Bloodline's on there early, I cut it off out of that because there's nothing else worth watching on there. To where you watch all of SmackDown. So,
yeah. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the next category just to keep us moving. And our next one was the Male Wrestler of the Year. And we nominated Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, MJF, and Moxley. And Hassel, you got the winner announcement on this one.
We shall acknowledge him, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. I think it's easy to say no one is coming close to him right now. He has entered elite class with his title reign. When only Bruno, Pedro, and Hulk, Backlund, I'm sorry, are the only people that's held a title longer than you, you're elite. So, hats off.
Yeah, and I'll give him props for being as good as he is. Now, on the flip side of that, is there really anybody else they could put the belt on right now?
He's transcended to a point. Like a few years ago, I couldn't have cared about him. When he went out with his leukemia, you felt bad for him. But that version of Roman, no one cared about. I will give him, man, my hat's off to him. When he come back as a heel, he reinvented himself. I mean, everything about what he does he comes off like a star now. He didn't come off like a star before. Now he does. I mean, that's the problem about how good he has gotten in these last 3 years. There isn't anybody that you could really believably put in there with, like even Brock Lesnar at this point. It's like, you don't see it no more.
I will say I think Mr. Mittens could take him now, though. I think he could take the title off of him. We could acknowledge Mr. Mittens.
Man,
Who is this masked menace?
I put that arthritic elbow on him. It's done.
Oh, so I'd watch that. But let's move to the female wrestler of the year now. Nominees, we've got Bianca Belair, Miss Mandy Rose, Miss Britt Baker, Miss Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. And Big Rob, can you announce the winner for this one?
The female wrestler of the year, we're going to give that one to Miss Rhea Ripley. She is just by far and away the standout for the Judgment Day. And I'll be honest, I could care less about the Mysterio family, but I kind of want to be Dominic Mysterio right now.
You want to call her mommy?
I would call her mommy.
How long do you think, though, before he changes his name from Dom to Sub? It's a valid question.
That's a loaded one there.
Oh, yeah, let's move on before we get ourselves into trouble. So our next category, this is actually not just wrestling. This is sports moment of the year. Now, there will be a lot of wrestling in here because, honestly, for anyone who's following any other sports right now, there has been nothing spectacular short of a couple of small things that really were kind of a blip on the radar, not only because there was nothing else going on, so they were great, but at the same time, everybody was kind of out of it. So our nominees were Georgia Bulldogs winning the national championship. We had Cody Rhodes returning at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar picking up the ring with the tractor. And what was that? Was that SummerSlam?
Yes.
I can't remember what event that was. Yeah. Most recently, FTR versus the Briscoes in a double dog collar match. And so from Survivor Series, the War Games Bloodline versus Brawling Brutes and everybody else who was involved in that match. And Hassel, you have the winner on this one.
The win and nod goes to the match beyond War Games. It was just great storytelling from start to finish. The build was good to it. You had time for a build, and then the storytelling within the match, and then once the match actually got kicked off, was just great. From everything to the mistrust with Sammy to Roman, like grabbing Jay, like nope, send him, and then the embrace afterwards. I mean, anyone that says it didn't pop at the end of that match, when they finally embraced Sammy and made him an oos, you're not very oosy if you don't pop for that right there.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else I can add to that. So with that, why don't we move ahead? Our next category overall is movies. A couple of different sections in here. The first one being horror movie of the year, and we've got nominees of The Terrifier 2, Halloween Ends, Black Phone, and Scream. And Hassel, I know you wanted to announce the winner of this one because you are our bigger horror fan, and I'm sure Mr. Mittens might be able to weigh in on some of these too. But I got to ask before you even announce, how did one of these even get in here? Because this also ended up in a DS award one too. Is it just we're that short of horror movies this year?
The hype okay. Behind it.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how did that get in here, but now that I read it again. But with that, why don't you announce the winner for this one?
Art the Clown, he hacksaws the competition, starting with Michael Myers. They were a week apart, and he kicked Michael's ass. So hats off to Terrifier 2, friend of the show, David Howard Thornton. So, yes, Art the Clown wins.
Yeah, and I know I don't watch many horror movies, and I know Big Rob doesn't either, but I know Mr. Mittens tries to tag in on some of them. So, Mr. Mittens, you got anything to weigh in on with these, or have you had a chance to watch any of these?
Honestly, I have not had a chance to watch any of those right there. After hearing about the ends for Halloween, I decided it was best I didn't.
You done yourself a favor.
He ended it early.
Huge favor.
Oh, so with that, let's move to our next category. This is the comic / sci-fi / action movie of the year. We kind of combine these all together because we watch all these, but there's usually not enough of any one individual without including them together. So nominees for this are Top Gun Maverick, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We do have one short movie in here, The Werewolf by Night, which was on Disney+. Then we have Black Adam and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And Big Rob, who won this one?
Well, for this one, in some universes, it might have been something different, but in this universe, we gave it to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. To me, this was just a really epic. I mean, Sam Raimi. I say, when he's on it, he is on it. That for me, the one scene, that musical battle, I just thought that was amazing. I mean, the whole movie was great, but the music battle was just amazing to me.
The Illuminati in itself would have won in any category. To me, that was just like fandom, like just woo.
And I've heard a lot of people that were not as satisfied with this movie as a lot of the other Marvels. And is it one of the best out of all the Marvel stuff? No, but some of the fan service stuff in it just really stood out to me. Is why I really liked it. But I'm also a Doctor Strange fan.
He nodded his hat. It was a great story. I mean, yes, there were some things that I know a lot of us fans were really kind of hoping, but you got nods to them. So, I mean, I was happy with it.
All right. So with that, let's move to our next category, which is our TV and streaming services. So first up, we've got live action series of the year. Nominees were Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Moon Knight, Yellowstone, and for the thronies out there, House of the Dragon. Big Rob, who won this one?
From a certain point of view, it might have had one or two problems, but overall, we gave Kenobi the win. If nothing else, that last episode, we've seen another showdown between Kenobi and Vader. Oh, man. I still get chills, and I've seen it about 3 or 4 times now.
I enjoyed pretty much the whole series, but I'd say the last 2 to 3 episodes was just a ride that you kept going.
Yep. Up, right?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was very entertaining. Like you said, Rob, there was a couple of points. Let's address the 10-foot laser gate in the room that we couldn't just walk around, that we had to destroy. But it was a good show overall. It had a great story to it, and I thought they tried to build the tension between Obi-Wan and Vader running into each other very well. In the few points they did, it was like, all right, we're only going to give you a few seconds of this, and then let's break apart, and then they have their final battle at the end of it, which I thought was really well done.
And how cool was it to actually see Hayden Christensen come back and get some positive love? He got shit on all through the prequels. And I'll be honest, episode 3 is one of my favorites. It is actually great. I mean, I'm an Empire man myself, but it's very close behind Empire to me. So I don't shit on him as much.
It was great, especially if you had the high ground.
See what you did there.
That's a little low. That's a little low.
Makes you want to pull out my Anakin saber back here.
That's all right.
It's about at the knees. About at the knees.
Yeah, Mr. Mittens could take care of that for you. He's got plenty of bladed weapons back there.
I bet he does.
Well, you can see him in this picture. He's got a nice rapier back there and some big honking sword. I can't remember what it's from. Is that from Bleach or something?
That's that fucking sword that tore my posters apart. I remember that.
Hey, that was Casey that did that.
Just going
with your item. With your item.
Hey, I didn't tell him to do it. I just said, hey, can you hold this for a second?
Oddly enough, that's the same thing Big Rob said to him that night.
And he did.
Oh, we're going to get in trouble.
Good evening.
We love you, Casey.
So let's move to animated show of the year, and we had very few nominees for this. I don't remember I just think there wasn't a lot of stuff that came out, but we did nominate Tales of the Jedi, the final season of Young Justice, and Rick and Morty. And Hassel, I will let you announce the winner for this one.
We're staying the path of the Jedi and Tales of the Jedi. They did a very good job. It was shorts. It was, it wasn't a long drawn out thing, but it was very enjoyable. And the field wasn't very deep this year, unfortunately. I'm a big Morty fan, but Tales of the Jedi got the job done.
Yeah, I enjoyed both Young Justice and Tales of the Jedi this year. I've never actually even watched a full episode of Rick and Morty, if I'm being honest. It just didn't appeal to me greatly.
You were doing yourself a great disservice.
Yeah, that's what she said too, but
I bet she did.
Yeah, we should not be allowed to talk to each other regularly. What were you saying, Big Rob? I know I saw you like your.
Oh, I said I'm right there with you. I've never watched Rick and Morty either. Everything I can tell, it looks like it's just a ripoff of literally everything else. I don't care.
That's what makes it great. He's a drunk. I love him. I relate.
Let's move to our next category. We've got comics up next, and the first thing we did was series or title of the year, whichever you'd like to call it. But nominees for this were, it's a twofold book that folded back into one before the end of the year, but they had Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. It was written as two separate books, so one could release one week, one could release the other, but at the end of the year, they did combine back into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We had The Flash, The Punisher, and Devil's Reign. And Big Rob, oh, I caught you right in the middle of a sneeze, didn't I? You get to announce the winner of this one.
I apologize for that. Yeah, so
Very unprofessional.
Have you seen my show?
I have. I enjoy it greatly, actually.
For series of the year, we did give it to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from Boom. From everything I've heard, especially from Monster, it's always some high quality storytelling.
Yeah, it's been a good nostalgic run. I mean, it takes you back to the 90s, just the way they write it as well as draw it. But they have a good combination as well of telling a story and adding new elements to the story that we didn't have before, and trying to make it more serious for the adults as well. I mean, it's not 100% campy like it used to be, but it gives you that feel of that along with a more mature story.
Mittens, we may need you to go to Irvinville and check on Big Rob. I think he's passed away on us.
He's still there. Mr. Mittens does have to give mouth to mouth yet.
I'm guessing the cold weather has tried to attack him.
Hey,
I was fine last night. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah. You guys don't have it as bad. The cold weather up here has been. We're still recovering from the Arctic wet tundra. So
I'll keep the 28. I'm happy with
it. What was that, Mr. Minton?
It's a wet cold down here. I've got that dry cold.
It's wet and cold because it rained all day, and then it was frozen over, and then it was snowing, and then it warmed up, and then it slushed, and then it snowed again. So yeah.
Yeah, but y'all know that's coming.
Dang.
We just sit here and it's like, hey, it's sunny. Let's go do something. The next day, I can't see out my windows.
Well, if you get one
like
snowflake down there,
about
it's
the heat in August. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's.
So let's move on to Publisher of the Year now, and our nominees for Publisher were Marvel, DC, Boom Studios, and Image Comics. And Hassel, who won this category?
You can make mine Marvel. I know that makes Casey surprised, but Marvel was head and shoulders above the rest. DC is a muddled mess at this point. They don't know what they want to do. They're in 50 different directions. So I will give Marvel the nod of at least staying in the course with what they have. And then, I'm just a little partial to Marvel.
Yeah, I Boom Studios might have had the best comic of the year, but that's only one book. As far as consistent titles that are good, Marvel, for me, pulled it out. They have more consistent. Like you said, DC, the current New 52 is the New 52 directions they're trying to go in, and they can't pick which one they're doing.
It's not good.
No. So let's move on to collectibles of the year. We'll start with individual action figure of the year, and this has to be an action figure, and we're only claiming one figure from this. And there could be many from multiple lines in here, or multiple from the same line in here. But the idea of this is, what's the action figure we thought was the best one of the year? Nominees for this one, we've got G.I. Joe Classified Serpentor, G.I. Joe Classified Sergeant Slaughter, the WWE Mega Powers 2-pack with the Hulkster and the Macho Man, Mafex's Azrael Batman, and Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man in the black costume. Hassel, who won this category?
Mr. Mittens, would you hit us with a fantastic drum roll, please? And the winner is, hands down, undisputed Serpentor. This I command.
So
It
why did you ask for a drum roll when you got Mr. Mittens and he could have done that Cobra La thing?
Ooh, there we go, Josh. Hit him with it.
Cobra.
You see why he is happily married for the last 16 years, ladies. But yes.
Very happy.
Serpentor.
Very happy.
So Serpentor is the winner, hands down. It's just an amazing figure. It's when I unboxed mine, I literally sat on the floor, positioning things, and I just kind of enjoyed the figure, for quite a little while myself, and took back to the days of being a good 8-year-old kid. So it's a nice figure.
And to be perfectly honest, all of the G.I. Joe classified line has been really good. And while I didn't get Serpentor, I got the Sergeant Slaughter. He was great. The Dr. Mindbender was great. I think the Serpentor went a little further beyond them with the vehicle as well, but also just all the extra stuff they put into it, like giving them 2 different headsets so that you could pose them in different ways, and that way you wouldn't break the sculpt of it if you wanted to pose a certain way or versus another. And I will say I felt like he was just a little too tall compared to some of the others, but they did try to scale him to the others and say that he is a much more imposing figure on your shelf.
Yeah, I kind of when I done. If you look on our social media, you'll see where I done an unboxing, and I lined him up with several different ones. And like, he is massive next to the Crimson Twins. Slaughter, he's got a little height on. He's bigger than he should be. I like Monster said, but he's not just overwhelmingly big over Slaughter. But next to some of the others, like even the Pit Viper, he's had a good head taller.
He was genetically modified.
This is true. He is the perfect creation, other than the fact that he's crazy.
So what we got to know is, did Hassel search for a belly button?
I didn't.
Because clones shouldn't have one because there's no umbilical cord. So I'm just curious. And I know Hassel. I figured Hassel would have looked, just for his morbid curiosity.
That surpassed me. I'm ashamed to say this.
And really, the best thing is going to be, because I know he hasn't probably had a chance to do it lately because of all the holidays and everything else, but when Mr. Mittens gets to come over and actually repose him for you, yes, I know he's looking forward to that.
That is a thing that I was thinking about, because I'm in the process. You could tell we got a new backdrop this week. I'm getting a man room again. My lovely hooked me up very graciously with a nice desk and chair, and so I'm in the process of getting the man room back on track and a stable ground. So I know when Mittens comes, I'll have to check the room behind him. He's plotting. Look at him.
Of course he is. So with that, let's move to our next category.
Captain America and the sharpshooter. That's what he's remembering.
I do have flashbacks to this. 20 years ago, I have flashbacks.
That's not the worst one he's done, though.
Nah. The best is when you find him a week later.
It's also fun when you just go around somebody's house and you have a running joke of something like whether they move your figures or there's just something small that they can place all around your house and put multiples of them, and you just keep finding them months later.
Yes.
I've done that before, too. But with that, let's move to collectible of the year. This category is meant to be a non-action figure. We will say that there is one that made it in here that could be classified as an action figure, but to be honest, the size and scale of it, as well as being a crowdfunded project, we decided to include it anyway. But our nominees are the Force Effects Elite Obi-Wan lightsaber, the WWE New Generation ring, the Galactus Marvel Legends HasLab Galactus, and the Iron Studios Power Ranger statues. And Big Rob, I think you're announcing the winner for this one, sir.
Yes, sir. And for this one, we definitely gave the nod to the Hasbro Force FX Elite Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber. It's just a magnificent role play lightsaber. I mean, it's got the dual necks. It's got the smaller neck that's more screen accurate for whenever you don't have the blade in it and you're just wandering around as a badass Jedi. And then it's got the bigger neck that holds the lightsaber blade. It swings good. It's got good balance. I did a review on it on my channel. Shameless plug.
I just going to say, anyone that wants to check this out a little closer, Check out Big Rob's House of Entertainment and no Chinese food.
And you'll see what his big neck can hold. You really should have worked on the wording of that before you started, because I was trying to hold it in, man. Oh, I will say though that lightsaber, I've always talked about wanting one. That's one of the few things I don't have in my collection, is I wanted to get a lightsaber that has the full effects and everything. And I've always said I wanted to go and get one custom designed or whatever, or one that I wanted differently. But that Force Effects Obi-Wan one has almost made me buy it, because it is so well done. And actually, I saw it. It's marked down on sale at a couple places right now for like 30% off or something. So I've been debating on going ahead and ordering one. I just have not followed through yet.
I will say that Rob's reviews have made me go in for the Luke one. So Luke Skywalker shall be coming here.
Do it. Do it.
Not only does he sound, but he also kind of looks like the Emperor.
He does. Ancient and decrepit.
Yes.
With that, let's move to the line or series of the year. This can be anything collectible related, whether it's a line of statues, a line of action figures, whatever. This was our chance to say what was the one that we thought put out the best content of the year. And for the nominees, we've got the G.I. Joe Classified line, DC Multiverse, Marvel Legends, WWE Elite, and Masters of the Universe Masterverse line. And Big Rob, I think you're announcing the winner on this one too.
Sir, so on this one, all of these lines had some really good stuff through the year, or even a lot of really good stuff. But we gave the win to the G.I. Joe Classified line because, like, basically, I mean, you talked about the Serpensor, the Mindbender, the Slaughter. Everything that they put out has been just really good looking. You've been able to find them on the shelves, which you can't say for some of these other lines. It's just been a solid line this year.
Yeah.
Last year they struggled with some of the exclusive Target stuff, like Major Blood and the original Pit Viper. But beyond that, this year they've been pretty damn stellar about having things on the shelves in a very timely manner. Some things, my pre-order can attest to this, showing months early in certain places. So yeah, they've done a great job.
I think too they've one of the big things to really reflect on them is how they fixed their exclusive issue, where you couldn't get the first exclusives that came out in the first few waves of exclusives, but now you can. And now not only are they supporting it on their fan channel, but they're also taking and saying, okay, because the stock didn't get the target the way we wanted to, they've actually been giving it to Big Bad and Entertainment Earth to sell as well to make up for that. And I thought that was a solid. Also, the way they've announced stuff this year, like everybody else is like, oh, we're going to announce this figure and there'll be a pre-order later in the year. Well, 4 months later, we get maybe a hint of like, remember this? We told you 4 months ago. Now you can pre-order it. Now you can get it next year. G.I. Joe has said, okay, this week we'll give you names on this one. The next time we're on, we're going to say, hey, remember those names? Here's the renders of them, and here's some new names. And then there was, hey, here's a mock-up of one and the names. And here's a next time, here's a visual representation of one. We've got a figure made of it. So they've constantly kept you updated, as well as adding to those updates every time. And I thought that was a really well way to do that, because nobody else seems to be doing it. Even the Marvel Legends guys who try to announce something every other week weren't able to quite do it in that way. But with that being said, that actually gets us through all of the Excelsior and the Best of the Year awards. So now we're going to go to the DS. And this is probably where we will, as much as we have made fun and jumped in on other stuff, this is probably where we'll go way off the rails for us, because it did last year as well.
The shit shall reign.
Yes. And we're going to start this one off with sports as well, just like we did the Excelsior ones. And a couple of the nominees we've got for sports DS awards, and these are actually going to be moments or issues of the year. So first off, all the backstage AEW drama. That's our first candidate. Ring of Honor purchase and the way they have been utilized as a nominee. The Vince McMahon scandals. Alabama's epic collapse, and Mandy Rose firing controversy. And Hassel, I'm going to let you announce the winner of this one, because I know you've got quite a few opinions on this one.
Oh, do I? The complete and utter derailing with the AEW backstage drama. They started this year with all the momentum in the world. The viewers were going up. the Punk signing, they were hot on the heels of that. They had some good feuds forming and building. And the next thing you know, it is just one mess after another, whether it's Sammy Guevara picking fights with 2 or 3 people, then I guess he's teacher's pet and he goes hides under Tony Khan's dress and he doesn't get in trouble, and the people that smacks the shit out of him gets fined, suspended, or just flat out exiled. Yeah, there's been 2 or 3 of those guys, unfortunately. The CM Punk Elite just overshadows everything. I mean, you literally had what should have been your big pay-per-view, where they really could have turned the tide for them, so to speak. I mean, Punk wins the belt from Moxley because nobody would wanted to see it on Moxley anymore. And it's like, okay, Punk's healthy. Let's get the belt on him. Let's go with him. MJF returns that night as the devil, wins the chip, announces he's cashing in. So, because I mean, MJF and Punk is money all day long. Them two could just verbally spar one another like no tomorrow. You had the Elite win become the first trios champion, and afterwards they get in a damn girl fight where people are pulling hair, biting, kicking dogs. I mean, it's just a damn mess. Kenny Omega hiding in a corner. I mean, it's oh god. You got CM Punk just shitting all over the owner while he sits there like a little girl and just says nothing. Could you imagine Vince McMahon sitting there during that medium thing?
No.
No. You know how damn fast Vince would have shut his ass down?
Yeah. Well, Vince wouldn't even let it get started.
No. Gosh, no. He would have shut that down, find the piss out of him. And then when his ass was injured, whether it be through the match or whatever, the little tussle backstage, he'd probably got his ass fired, which is what he should do. Now they're sitting there with less than 1 million viewers a week. It's bad. It's real bad. Poor, MJF didn't get the title kickoff he should have got, and they're trying to give it to him now because nobody gives a shit about him beating Mox. He'll build some momentum by beating Bryan Danielson. That'll kind of give him a little credibility, so to speak. And him and Ricky Starks, even though no one tuned in for it, I'm not a big fan of Ricky Starks, but he is coming into his own on the mic. They had a pretty damn good promo back and forth the other night, but right now they're firmly holding the DS award.
Yeah, and I think it highlights too just the different factions backstage and how everybody who is friends with them and Jericho, the Elite and Jericho is on one side and everybody else is on the other. And
how do you let Regal escape? You got one of the best minds in the business right there, and this man asked for an early release and you grant it to him.
Because nobody would even listen to him. I mean, that's part of the problem. I mean, is everybody thinks that they know best and nobody's really in charge there.
And he is a gentleman. He has tried to not say much negative, but he did say, because he was asked the difference in working there, working in WWE, and he said, well, it was like working with children at AEW. That's the most negative thing he has said. He other than that, he has been very, very gentlemanly, but you could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a shame that is such this was the one we chose over some of these others. I mean, honestly, like the Vince McMahon scandals and him having to. Would you have ever thought a year ago even he was just going to leave WWE amid all this and it was going to go the way it goes? But man, the brawl out, as a lot of people call it, just overshadowed all of this. It
got the world talking, but not in a positive manner. They say that there's no such thing as bad publicity. It's proved them wrong.
Yeah. So with that, let's move to our next category just to keep us moving. And our next one is our DS movie of the year. And nominees for this, which is I'm still not sure how this ended up higher on the list in the previous, but Halloween Ends is on here. We have Thor 4 and 7 years ago, or Thor Love and Thunder, as some people like to call it. Morbius, The Batman, and Matrix 4. And Big Rob, I'm gonna let you announce the winner of this one.
They made another Matrix movie. Okay, sorry.
Well, they claimed it was. I'm not really sure after watching it.
So the big winner or loser, such as it is it sounds like it's the end for Halloween. I know Hassel said that even as big a fan as he is, he couldn't deal with it much.
Dude, I literally watched this movie, and I'm trying to be open-minded. I really, really was. It starts a particular path, and you keep thinking, okay, it's building. And you know, there's a part of the movie where Michael makes his first kill, and he almost hulks up a little bit, and that line comes back to you where, you know, Laurie Strode makes the comment in the last movie: the more he kills, the more he transcends. Well, he hadn't killed in 5 years. This was his first murder in 5 years. He'd been hiding in the damn basements or the sewers with homeless people. So it's like, okay, he's coming back, and then, you know, he starts building strength. The next thing you know, it becomes the Corey Cunningham show. And this little weasel kills his own self because he's a bitch. He pushes Michael Myers down, beats up an elderly Michael Myers, who was a juggernaut in the last damn movie, taking bullets and every damn thing else. And this little punk that gets beat up by high school kids beats him up, takes his mask, and becomes him, kills half the town. Then he kills himself because an 80-year-old woman kicks his ass. Then Michael shows back up. You're like, okay, do we got something here? I'm trying to be open-minded. No. This elderly woman beat him up, pushes a refrigerator over on him. I don't know about you guys. I've lifted a few refrigerators. They're not just easily tossed over. This elderly woman pushes it over on him, slices his wrist, and throws him in our regrind machine, and he's dead. End of movie. End of saga. The things I said in my living room that night were not good. My fiance literally looked at me and says, "You talk so ugly," and went to bed.
So I have a question for you, Hassel. And this is kind of one of those questions we always get into about it. If you were going to do it, how would you have ended the Halloween franchise, or would you? Would you just leave it open for a billion years worth of sequels?
Okay, here's the deal, and this is what makes Michael honestly work. They might have taken it a little too far in Halloween Kills with his abilities, so to speak, because he starts becoming more like Jason in this one, to where you can't kill the son of a bitch. I feel like that, but part of that is what makes Michael work. When he's a force of nature, they made him a little too human in this. They tried to play into COVID and all that shit. I wouldn't have focused on the Corey Cunningham at all. Who gives a fuck about it? Like, literally, when you start the movie, it was dead. There's a dead opening giving this kid's backstory. Now, had you had his backstory in the last movie somehow, because it was like during that night of the last Halloween, okay, you know, then you go back to it maybe a little bit, but I would have done away with Corey Cunningham probably. Michael's, because he's a creature that goes away and comes back. He's a force of nature. There's no understanding why or how he does what he does. Hell, he might walk by you and kill me. You know what I'm saying? Instead of slaughtering every one of us, he does random shit. So I would have just had him randomly show back up. Him and Laurie, I would have either had him and Laurie die together, or him finally kill Laurie and vanish and end the movie that way right there, to where it is still semi-open. He may or may not return, whatever. But it's the end of that saga, one way or another. Whether Laurie sacrifices herself to seemingly kill Michael and the body disappears, but what they did was just trash.
Okay.
And the fact that John Carpenter, I know he got paid well for him to support this movie and be like, "Oh, I thought they did a good job." No, they fucking didn't. You just got paid well enough. I mean, and this isn't even a case like years ago where Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was just boo-booed on. But you go back and watch it as a standalone, and you say, okay, it's not part of the Halloween saga. It's a good horror movie. This is not a movie that will be looked back upon favorably later.
So before we move on, because we are running a little bit tighter and we've been on that one for a while, but I got to ask this because I got to know the answer. Mr. Mittens is always plotting something. So I want to know how he plots Michael's demise, how he would take Michael out.
Seeing as I hadn't seen that one because of hearing about it, just the ending alone where, like you said, dropped in a meat grinder, if somehow him and her were battling and they both win, like you said, I would, if you wanted to end it, then them both go in. They both, she has to die for him to die. Like, even if they wrote it where that's the reason why he can keep on going is because she's keeping on going. That be the ending.
That's fair.
I will say, anyone that knows the behind the scenes, I just pieced it together. Mittens has a very, very Nick Castle-like look right now. The original shape. I'm just saying, you could go to some signings, Mittens.
Hey,
plagiarize a little signatures. Who would know?
My handwriting is terrible.
Well, I could see you walking around just slaughtering people though.
I did do a pretty good Jason most times on Halloween.
He did. He pulls that off pretty well. I'll give him that.
Yep.
With that, let's move to our next category. So we've got our TV and streaming DS Award of the Year. Again, just like some of the others, this might not necessarily be a show. It could be a show, but it could also be a direction that things are taken or a specific moment in time of a show. But nominees for this is we have the direction of the CW channel since their recent purchase, HBO Max changing their platform and all of their streaming again, even though they're not even, what are they now, 2 years old maybe?
Yeah.
We do have one TV series, the entire series of Andor, and we do have the final episode of She-Hulk. So Hassel, you get to announce the winner on this one.
We had the CW. It's just bad.
As bad as all these were, the CW one does concern. As a fan of like DC and the TV shows that they brought in, whether it was Smallville or even other stuff like Supernatural, CW used to be WB and UPN before that, and it was always built on these dramas and TV shows for teens or nerdy fans like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dawson's Creek, The Flash, Arrow, Smallville. Everything now suggests that the current owner says that the CW channel should be branded for anyone from 40 plus years old to watch their style of dramas. I'm like, no, it's never been that way, but that's where they're going now. And
you don't completely rebrand a network that has had about 30 years worth of content at this point. Yeah. And a particular niche base. You stay within your niche and you work it to the best, because they've been successful in the past. I mean, I know they've not supposedly turned very much profit, it's said, because of what they put into their content, but they put out some great content. You can't tell me the video library isn't worth something.
But part of the profit loss for them too, though, is that they offer a free streaming service. You watch their stuff streaming for free. Nobody else does that. Like if you had to pay for the CW as a streaming channel, or had a package deal with Hulu or somebody, that's where their money would have come from. The years they did make money is because they sold their shows to Netflix, and they hit Netflix a week after it finished on regular TV, which is a good idea, except for probably the amount of time. They should have put more time in there, so maybe you come back and watch the reruns before you go catch it on Netflix and just binge the whole thing.
One of the things I never understood about them either was like, through whether you had them through satellite or say Hulu Live or something of this nature, it was always standard definition. It was very grainy. But then through their streaming platform that was free, or if you waited to watch the season on Netflix, which is what I would do because I get the stuff out the standard, is an HD.
Yeah.
So why would you not just have an HD channel that you made people pay for? Because people would have paid to watch seasons of Supernatural, especially when the show was still going with the popularity it had. Smallville, Arrow, Flash, these things. You would have paid a couple of extra bucks, or whether it be through Hulu or your satellite provider or whoever, to have watched this in a high def quality on your fucking 4K TV versus this grainy drizzling shit turd that was provided to you.
Well, that's the thing with me is like y'all are saying with a streaming service now, with everybody doing the streaming service, even if they were to, I mean, like what's Netflix up to now? Price wise,
I'm not sure.
$21.94 is what I pay for service.
If you're not charging anything for a streaming service right now, and you started one and put it at $5, most everybody will pay $5. Then you have 1 million viewers times $5.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Unless you're me and you just still lease your ex-wife's Netflix.
Hey, we that now it's on video. Now it's on video. You said it.
Hey, they know it. They know it. I figure when she gets penalized, it's on her.
Oh, before we get ourselves in too much trouble, let's move right along. Comic category of the year for DS. We did this as either titles or again, these might be something similar that happened in universe. But for nominees, we had Ghost Rider's current series, the current Venom series, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths miniseries, the direction of all the X-Men titles. And we debated about this one a little bit because there is some decent titles in there, but majority of it is not. And then Miles Morales' new costume design. And Big Rob, I think you've got the winner on this one, but I'm sure Hassel is going to have plenty to say about it.
Yeah, so I'm not. If you guys know, you guys know I haven't read a lot of comics lately, so I don't know. I'm not familiar. But yeah, the word on this one is that Ghost Rider series is a big old drizzle of shit. And yeah, I'm sure Hassel can explain.
I mean, the bowl is full. Employees have shit upon shit in this bowl, and it doesn't flush. It is that bad. I'm a Ghost Rider fanatic. I mean, fuck, I'm branded. I mean, I've been there since the 90s. Major fan. And I was excited. There's another with my brother of Vengeance.
Go a little lower.
So, believe me, when this started out, and it had like some really great covers, and I bought more variant covers through our sponsor, the Zone Collectibles. But this book is bad. It started bad. It didn't get good. I kept thinking, okay, then an issue or two, they're laying groundwork. I mean, I get it. You're starting fresh. Sometimes you got to build a story. You can't just come out the gate swinging always. So I was willing to give the guy time to build. It's bad, real bad. Doesn't get better. I'm several issues in, and I have all of them. I've got to read the last two. The best issue is the one that made no fucking sense at all. Was the Hell Race, where if you supposedly win this race, you get whatever you want. And you got random people like Moon Knight and Wolverine and a few other randoms showing up, and they're all battling each other in this shootout, which makes really not a lot of sense because they don't. I mean, I guess Moon Knight has some supernatural ties, but Wolverine not so much. Some of the other people that were involved in it, not so much. It just was like, what the fuck? And then the big reveal at the end is Blackout shows up. Not Blackout,
Blackheart.
Blackheart. That's the big unveiling at the end.
But did you like how that changed from being the race and being a Ghost Rider story for that issue to being, hey, Wolverine's guest starring because he's in the rest of the issue, and everybody else who was in the race just kind of, they had 1 or 2 panels and then they were gone. Yeah, he's the only guest star who sticks around throughout the entire issue. It's like,
and he's the one that survives and kicks ass enough to has to save the Ghost Rider, throw him on his back with him, and then in the next issue, Wolverine's on the cover.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing says your book is struggling like throwing Wolverine on your fucking cover. That is the Hail Mary of Marvel when you have to put Wolverine on your fucking cover.
That's a life preserver. That's all that is you're sinking. You're about to die.
Toss it out to him.
I will say in the 90s, yes, you were right. I will say today, I think there's one more worse offender than that, is if you got their Deadpool on the cover and let him take over the book now.
That'll probably be issue 14.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing Danny back now, so nothing says like, oh shit, we realized no one gives a fuck about Johnny anymore through his 45 failed reboots. Now they're bringing Danny back, so I'm gonna see where that goes. That's my hope that in 2023 we can give it an Excelsior for the return of Danny Ketch.
I foresee it being back in the same category again next year. But
Most positively.
My question is, how old is the writer of this book?
that's a good
Probably,
question. I don't know.
Probably in his 20s and has read zero fucking Ghost Rider.
We don't
picked
need
up-
him on there.
He picked
We
up
need
2
some-
copies of Marvel Comics Presents in '96.
We need someone our age in there that knows.
Maybe ours, not yours, but yeah.
Hey, I'm younger than you.
Isn't that terrible?
He's younger than all of us.
Yes, it is.
He's the youngest one on the screen.
Youth people.
Wasted you.
Hard life.
Hard times, baby. A hard road.
Slither with the snakes and swim with the sharks.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, I've been beating them off.
I bet you do.
Well-
I bet you do.
I said it, and I'm like, shh. I pulled an earpoke.
Give them back.
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't remember.
Good, take it back. It's already out there.
Yep.
So let's move
Now,
on.
is this our final award?
This is our final DS award. It's our DS collectible, and this could be an item, but most likely, I think most of all these categories are actually things that relate to the collecting world versus an item itself. But so we've got Super 7 Delays as the first nominee. Early Arrivals is the second, because as some of us know, we have gone into budgetary constraints because everything showed up like 6 months early. Price increases throughout the year, and we knew that they were coming, but they kept doing them, and they've added more and more on top of them. And last and certainly not the least is the windowless packaging that has arrived now. So Hassel, who won this one?
I'll be honest, there was much hate and shit piled upon all the heads of these nominees.
Yeah, there was.
But the one stinky turd that stood out the most, almost like you ever changed? I know you've been children and nephews. You guys have all been around a baby who shit up its back, and it's just the most god awful smell ever.
And it's green and sticky.
Yes, it's just terrible. It's all in the car seat. It's bad. Super 7, you are that drizzling shit. You have consistently for 2 years now been fucking god awful with your behind, your delays, or if something does show, it's random. Like literally, you look at your production schedule right now, and Silverhawks Wave 2 is coming before Wave 1. And it's still way the fuck off of its projected date. Your G.I. Joe Classified or G.I. Joe Ultimates line is way the hell behind schedule. Way the hell behind schedule. The only thing you're putting out on Thundercats semi on time, and you're getting late with those, is the repaints. Like literally the ones that all you got to do is repaint them in classic colors. It's behind. The Thunder Tank. This son of a bitch is crawling at this point. It's a toddler. It might be teetering on walking. We still don't have it. But it's massive. That's your big update. It's massive. So is the pile of shit that you are as a company. So we give you the biggest DS award.
Yeah, I will say the early arrivals has been one of those things like you want to be happy about that, but it's just the way you budget your money. The price increase, like it's minimal increases, but if you start seeing on everything, it adds up quickly. The windowless packaging, some things that bothers me because it's just a picture of the figure on the front. Now, some of the packaging is not bad because they've used the picture, like the Sergeant Slaughter one's actually got actual artwork on the box. Or if you look at like the Street Fighter Power Ranger ones they did, yes, they used the figure in the picture, but they put them in a pose and tried to do like an artwork, like recreate a scene or a cover or something.
But like we talked about before, doesn't that just change your perspective on buying two now?
Yeah.
Why keep one MOC when it's just a fucking box?
Yeah, I mean, so it's taking some away from how you collect some of that stuff, but dude, the Super 7 is just bad because it's not just delay, but like just the randomness of how their stuff is arriving. Like you said, the Silverhawks Wave 2, oh, we couldn't get it right with Wave 1, but we got everything right with Wave 2, so you'll get it first. you can't tell me that you got everything right with the second version you were doing because of how bad you screwed up on the first one. You still didn't give us the first one.
That's what
Get that
scared
right
you to
first.
take those out of the box, because I take my Super 7s out of the box. So that's where I'm fearful of. I mean, am I going to run into the same problems I run into with the first wave of Thundercats, where I had to raise hell about Lion-O, Mum-Ra, who were both trash,
Yeah.
and get replacement pieces. Tigra. I mean,
Well, and their whole thing was, well, we changed companies after the second wave, so everything's better now. Obviously, it was not. So was that just your excuse to get out of blaming yourself the last time? Because you can't use that excuse twice.
you ever seen the employee that blames the other employee for why the job wasn't done? We've all worked with that asshole.
That can only go so far, but unfortunately, with the way things are now and just in the workplace, I could see them using that again. Oh, well, they did it. They did it. They'll use it until you know, they won't ever take responsibility.
Oh,
It's not me stinking. It's that guy over there.
If you watch any of their interviews, Brian Flynn never takes responsibility for any of them. He always pawns it off somewhere else. That's we made fun of some other interviews we watched and heard of where someone else was talking about working with Super 7 and it's like, okay, that was kind of a shady comment they threw, but then you watch his interviews and he never apologizes for any of the stuff. He's just like, well, you gotta understand it does this, and it's like, well, no, I really don't have to understand.
Monster, I feel like that's the show we really, really need for the war of 2023. We need to somehow finagle Brian Flynn and Ace onto our show. And let's see where the meat and potatoes really lie here.
Well, I wasn't going to throw any names there, but since you went there.
I'll go there. I will go there.
At the time, if you didn't know either one of them, you kind of felt like maybe what Ace told us might have been his version of it, but maybe it was slightly skewed. But then you watch anything else with Brian, it's like, maybe not.
And then you follow the other company, and it's like as soon as a HasLab fails, they have identical mock-ups the next day.
Oh, but with that gets us through all the awards. But before we leave, instead of doing Nerd Out this week, we're actually going to do a special where we look at what do we look forward to in the coming year, most and least. So we're each going to pick one thing that we're most looking forward to in the coming year and one thing that we're least looking forward to. And I won't put Mr. Mittens on the spot since he joined us late, but we're going to start with the guest stars, and we're going to let Big Rob go first, and then we'll let Mr. Mittens go. So if he needs to plot any more time or if he's got his ready.
I'm good. I'll go first. I'll go first.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. I just didn't want to throw you on the spot since you didn't get to meet with us last night to finish up.
I wanted to have an honorable mention as far as shows. The Lord of the Rings on Amazon Prime, very good. And video games, Elden Ring, very good. And God of War Ragnarok, very good.
So we talked about doing video games. We left out because the only thing we had was God of War, which none of us had a chance to play, and it just came out this month. So we might could throw it in for next year, and then WWE, and then everything else was like there was really nothing else that stood out to at least us. But yeah, I haven't tried Elden Ring, so I'll take your word for that one.
The biggest thing with Elden Ring is whenever it came out, it was a complete game. There was no going through a little storyline in 20 minutes and all of a sudden you have to wait on them to do an expansion that you have to pay for. This was a really big game. It was pretty difficult, but it was good. It is one of those that even though you died a lot, it was a situation where you die and you're like, okay, I can do this and I'll be able to get through it. And so you're like, you figure out your thing and then you're like, okay, you beat them, but then you die again. But it's one of those where you see what you need to do kind of deal. And then God of War Ragnarok, it wasn't as much action as the first God of War, but the storyline is very good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet.
And literally, we were talking last night. We were like, we were just deciding on games, if or not. And we was like, where's Mittens at? Because he would know of all of us. Him and Casey would give us 40 titles. But
Yeah.
I am surprised to hear you say Lord of the Rings show, because you're the first person I have heard say that.
I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it's it's a prequel kind of thing, but just older than the rest of the stuff. But I mean, there's some things, backstories that are given and little twists and turns there that I thought were really good.
So I watched it, and
But
it's telling.
I haven't actually read the books. I think Mr. Allen has read it. Did you ever read it?
No.
I own them.
So I haven't read it either. I did watch the show, and there's 3 concurrent storylines happening. And I will tell you that for me, like Galadriel's story, I enjoyed. I liked hers. I did not care about the elf, the dark elf or whatever that turns and joins the Uruk-hai or whatever, leading them. I could have cared less about that story. But the other story, which was supposed to be Gandalf's origin, and yes, we can spoil it at this point because it's out there. It's been out there for months now. That one was pretty good too, and it got much better at the end of it. And when we first started with that, and I was like, "Where is this going? Is that Sauron?" But then when they got to the end, it's like, "Oh, that's Gandalf." I actually liked that one at the end of it, but through most of the series, that one was kind of like my mid story. Galadriel's was the best story, and I could have cared less about the third story. If they'd cut it and made the episodes a little bit shorter, I would have been much more enthralled with it.
Yeah, I think the dark elf part, I'm not really sure. I'm thinking maybe the next season it'll come into play more. But to me, he was just, what he was doing was a stepping point for Sauron. Even though he didn't really think he knew, I don't think he knew that he was a stepping point for that. I think he was used just the same as everybody else.
Yeah, I think if because they treated that almost like filler when you were watching. It's like, all right, we need to fill up this 15 minutes of the show, so put something else in. And that's where that's kind of how it came off. Sometimes I was like, it doesn't touch the other 2 stories were at least telling you something from different perspectives. It's going to touch on the main one. This one just felt like, well, why do we need this right now? Couldn't you told us this in a short story later?
True. But as far as the questions that y'all have, the looking forward to the most this next year would probably be Diablo 4. I am hoping for a really good game. I really like Diablo 3. The expansion, what was the name of it? Something Souls or
Reaper
something.
of Souls, wasn't it?
Reaper of Souls. Yeah. That felt like it was rushed, and like levels are usually pretty good, pretty big, but this is like they would go on forever to the point where you're like, when is this going to end? I need to stop.
It was very repetitive, very repetitive.
The thing I'm not looking. So what?
But the Necromancer add-on was awesome.
That it was. That was the only thing about it that I really liked, because you have him and you have an army by yourself. And if you play with a friend and you have somebody with a necromancer and somebody with the shaman, you have an army. You will not be defeated. But then the thing that I'm looking forward to the least, pretty much anything DC Entertainment.
You stole mine. That was on my list.
I think I can leech off of both of Mittens there, because I concur with looking forward to and disappointed in for. So yeah, I'm gonna piggyback Mr. Mittens there.
I mean,
not looking forward to the James Gunn verse.
No. You do not give us Superman and then take him away.
A week later.
Yeah.
You let the man make a fucking public statement, and then you just yank it.
Yeah.
That's almost like putting the tip in and then the girl saying no. That's just what it was. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I wasn't going to use those terms, but yeah. And all the other stuff that he's canceling along with it. Like, okay, if you don't want to do the next Wonder Woman movie, you haven't started on it, fine, whatever. You want to move on some of these people, let's be honest, you need to get away from Ezra Miller as the Flash.
Yeah.
If you want to take Momoa out as Aquaman because you want him to be Lobo, okay, I can see that. I can live with that. Just give us a different Aquaman, whatever. But the Superman thing was wrong. honestly, there is nobody else who's going to play Black Adam because he's not even big enough character to really anybody else to actually play him. The Rock brought more name value to it than Black Adam brought to it, and all the other stuff they're canceling, like all their TV shows, they've canceled all their stuff on CW because they want one cohesive universe. The Titans show that runs on HBO Max, they're saying this is probably the last season of it. Young Justice got canceled because this was not supposed to be the final season of it. It was actually left you on a cliffhanger, but they were like, okay, we're canceling all this stuff, including all the animated shows. So they're stopping too much just to set their vision. And I'm like, okay, we could do without that. We can have something different on TV than we do.
You're hitting the brakes on everything, and you won't get nothing new for 2 years. It'll be at least 2 years before any of the shit that he's got coming out of the pipe that'll start showing.
Yeah.
So they're going to take a massive hit in popularity and in the purse in 2023 or 2022 into 23.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, with that, let's move to Big Rob and let him give his most and least.
Sure. So I just had a quick question. You guys that have watched this Lord of the Rings prequel mess, is it just people like stretching and shit? Because we know that the Lord of the Rings movies was just a bunch of people walking.
The trilogy of walking.
They were on ships this time.
Maybe they were doing Tai Chi to stretch it out or yoga. I don't know.
There was a lot of water work. They're getting into aqua aerobics. I'm just saying.
In the words of Randall, there is one trilogy, and it is not of the fucking rings.
Thank you, sir. So I would definitely agree. Diablo 4 is definitely on my top 10 list, probably top 5 list of looking forward to. I am looking forward to the Ahsoka live action show. Rosario Dawson.
I forgot about that.
But they've already announced Harrison Dula, Sabine Wren, and Ezra from Rebels have all got their live action characters, and I can't remember who's playing them. They're bringing Thrawn to live action. Unless they just screw this one totally up, I am super looking forward to that.
It does sound good.
And as far as least forward to, again, I agree with that. But for some reason, somebody greenlit a second season of Andor. I don't understand why.
We don't either. We
all know the real reason why Alan is looking forward to Ahsoka.
Why? Say it.
You know you like the dark chocolate.
But is that more of a tangerine?
Oh man,
I'm colorblind, sir.
Is it saltwater taffy?
oh Lord.
What was it on? Never mind. I ain't gonna go there.
Yeah, hit him with the nipple pinchy, Josh. Hit him with the nipple pinchy.
We should move forward before we get in trouble again. Hassel, what is yours?
All right. I'm not gonna piggyback off Diablo 4 like I was originally. I'm gonna go to the Mandalorian. For staying in the world of Star Wars. I'm really looking forward to the Mandalorian and the Child to see how this unfolds and hopefully get a little more Luke Skywalker. So I'm super pumped on that. And then the DC is going to probably be a full sweep on the most I'm looking forward to, other than unpredictable pre-orders.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw mine in, but I'm going to do my least first, so we leave on a little bit better note. But my least is exactly the same as everybody else says. Basically, the DC reboot by James Gunn. I'm not looking forward to it because I don't see their vision for it, and I don't know that I'm going to agree with it when I do see it.
I want to see a super woke DC. I just get this vibe that's coming.
Yeah, well, the
very New 52-ish.
Go that way. So, but for my most, and I'm surprised that nobody called this one out, especially Hassel, but X-Men 97.
Oh, yeah.
You know what you said earlier about shit? You get the announcement and then you hear nothing.
Yeah. But that's set for fall of next year, so I'm looking forward to that one because I love the old X-Men cartoon. That was one of the best out there to me.
It does actually. I rewatched some Batman the animated series. As much as I love it, it still isn't there with the X-Men animated series to me. Spider-Man
No.
doesn't step to either of them.
You take that back.
I'm not knocking Batman the animated series. I love it. But I'm just saying, if you put X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man the animated series, they all come out around the same time. Fox done a stellar job with all three, but they go in that order.
I would say X-Men to me had the better storylines and arcs. Batman had the better single episodes.
Well, that's basically what it was. It was all single episodes. You got an occasional two-parter, but there was overall flowing arc with X-Men 97.
Yeah.
So it seemed like the comics.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, plot threads that kept being tugged at along the season. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I as much as the Batman animated style was great with on the black paper and the way they drew it and all, it was also very cartoony looking, whereas the X-Men looked more comic style accurate until the last season of it when they had those few episodes.
It was cutting edge back then. I mean, and it holds the test of time. Like you can watch some episodes now. Literally, I cut a few episodes on as we was going to bed the other night, and my fiance is not a very comic booky person, but like we were watching an episode. And then the internet started buffering here because for whatever reason, Disney Plus, I'm gonna shit on your service. In my bedroom, for whatever reason, on that 4K TV back there, it does tend to buffer occasionally. And it's with a buffer and a timed out. She's like, "Whoa, what's happening?" I was like, "See, this is a show that transcends when you can catch somebody 20-something years later and make them be like, whoa, they want to see it."
Yeah. But with that gets us all the way through the awards show. And before we get out of here, let's do our usual. Let's give a few shout out to some of our friends. Mr. Daniel Garcia, who joined us last week. You can find him on Facebook at Daniel Garcia and on Instagram at D Garcia Comics. Keep an eye out for all the new stuff he's got coming out there, along with Zyberona. He's building that entire dang universe up. Mr. Chris Daly, host of the Fueled by Weird podcast. You can find him on Instagram at Fueled by Weird and on his podcast, wherever you find your podcast, where he discusses all things nerdy and weird and does some really good book reviews. Content creator and autism activist, Miss Mandy Lynn, a.k.a. Kushimama. You can find her on Instagram at Kushimama and on YouTube at Doodle's Toy Report. She's been putting up quite a few new reviews of stuff, and as well as putting several things on sale on her website, so you can check that out. Mr. August Aguilar from Strange Film Studios, still out there promoting their new project, He Comes to Kill, and I've seen they're talking a couple other new projects too. The Center 2, which was I think their first film was The Center.
Yeah.
Or City, what was the City of Center? I can't remember what the name of it is. I might screw the name up.
He's got a sequel coming up. I don't remember the title.
Yeah, and then I probably butchered it, and I apologize for that. Also, while he's here with us this day and not today, not out roaming the streets, check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member Big Rob on his channel at Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food. He drops new reviews there as well as unboxings and shares stories from the road. And hopefully we'll get Mr. Mittens on some more episodes and share more stories from his life as well, because they are very entertaining along the way as well.
Maybe Nick Castle can give us the behind the scenes on Halloween.
You don't want to know. It was all bureaucracy.
He knew he was going to have something to say, no matter what it was. But while you're checking out all our friends, don't forget to check out our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs. And remember to help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And with that brings us to a close today. But before we leave, Hassel, tell everyone where they can find us. And also, Big Rob, shout yours out one more time since you're on here with us. And Mr. Mittens, you can tell them where they can donate to your wildlife preserve or whatever it is that you're hitting on these days.
So you can find us on Facebook at Hassel Hutchison via the Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show, Twitter, Nerdy MR Show, and we are on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, please, and then soon to a Roku channel near you.
That's awesome. I'm on YouTube at Big Rob's house of entertainment and no Chinese food. And I am also on Twitter at Allen Baldwin, ALLENBALDWIN. I don't do much on there, but I'm trying to start building it up. So eventually I'll start putting more stuff on there.
And for everyone who wants to know, Big Rob will be making some roaming reporting appearances on the Roku channel once we're on there, along with our show.
Once I get paid.
Mittens take care of that. Pay the man.
Yeah, he's the
Mittens pays in nudes, by the way.
Dangly parts.
And with that, we're going to get out of here before we get much more. Join us here next time as Hassel and I talk about creating our version of Power Rangers in the DC universe. Until then, live nerdy and have a happy new year.